As promised, here's my beginner sewing tutorial on how to make this easy reversible bowl cover. Start by tracing a bowl that you already have. I used my KitchenAid mixer bowl, and for reference, that was about 8.5 inches in diameter. I'm then going around the circle that I made and adding about 2 inches all the way around, connecting all the little marks that I made, and that's the piece of fabric that you'll be cutting out. I always forget to mention the marking tool that I use. It's a water-soluble pen that removes with water. Now that we have the circle cut out of our main piece of fabric, I'm just laying that as a template onto my lining piece of fabric. This project is reversible, but I'm just referring to that as my lining to make it a little bit easier. Now placing the two circles with the right sides of the fabric facing each other, clipping the two fabrics together but leaving a spot for a few inch gap. I like to mark the place where I'm leaving the gap with different colored clips. Starting at the spot that I mark for that gap, sewing along the outside edge with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, back stitching when I start and stop. Turning the project right side out through that gap that we left. I just go around it making sure all the edges are pushed out, then using an iron to press everything flat. As you can see, we still have that little gap that we left. We're not going to close that up quite yet, just add some clips to mark where it's at. Moving on to adding our elastic so this fits nicely around the top of the bowl. To measure how much I need, I wrap it around the top of the bowl, making sure the elastic is stretched but not pulled too tight. I cut my piece and make sure the ends meet without having to stretch it too much. Now you'll be sewing a channel for the elastic about 1 inch in from the outside edge, stopping and starting where we marked that gap. Back stitching when I start and stop. As you can see, I'm just following this outside edge and stopping at that mark. Here's what that channel looks like, and now I'm ready to insert my elastic. I recently got this handy little tool, but a safety pin works as well. Inserting the elastic into that channel that we just sewed, and working it all the way through until it comes out the other side. Just a reminder, at this point we still have that gap in both the stitch that we made for our channel and the stitch that created the outside edge. This just helps to give us some extra working space while we're sewing the elastic together. Bringing the two ends of the elastic together and then just sewing over that with a zigzag stitch, back stitching. I repeat this multiple times just to make sure the elastic is secure. This is going to be hidden inside so it doesn't have to look pretty. As you can see from what mine looks like, just make sure it's secure. Now that the elastic is sewn together, just make sure it's all evened out in the channel. All we have left to do now is sew up the gap in the channel and the gap along the outside edge. I forgot to film this part, but I just sewed up the gap that I left in the channel, just sewing a few stitches to finish off that circle. Then for the gap on the outer edge, I just make sure those raw edges are tucked in. You can iron them to make it a little bit easier, and taking that to my sewing machine and sewing along the very edge of the fabric, making sure all your elastic is evened out. At this point, your reversible bowl cover is all finished. I think these would make a really fun handmade gift, especially for somebody that loves cooking or baking. You could even make a few in different sizes and gift them as a set. I have a lot more handmade gift ideas on the way, so follow along for more.